name is Stephen Sindoni. Thank you for tuning in to the YouTube broadcast of Fly Like an Eagle, Free Leonard Peltier. Our story today begins in the summer of 2008 at a Drumming for Peace rally at the state capitol of Olympia, Washington, where I met a man named Dino who gifted me the sweater that you see me wearing today. Dino told me that the Great Spirit instructed him to give it to me, and that the sweater would be my protection against people who wanted to hurt me. He ended by saying, "The words you will speak are more powerful than any locomotive that has crossed our land." As I became friends with a number of Native Americans and was able to gain their trust, they confided in me and shared first-hand accounts of atrocities committed against them by our government. It was around that time that a good friend of mine, who shall remain nameless to protect their identity, shared the story of a man named Leonard Peltier. After listening to the story, I went on the internet and did a Google search of his name. Within a matter of 2 minutes, I had to quickly shut down my computer. Someone was trying to send me a virus and damage my computer. I realized that the story was one that I needed to research. I made several attempts, but each time I tried to access Leonard Peltier's story, I would have to shut down the computer because of hackers. Unable to use my computer, I decided that I would use the computer at the library in the Evergreen College in Olympia, Washington. After researching Leonard Peltier's story, I downloaded the information onto my flash drive and at a later date uploaded it onto my computer. As fate would have it, I was organizing the files on my computer and I came across the previous research I had done on Leonard Peltier. After reading the information, I decided to make one last attempt and try to go on the internet and do a Google search using Leonard Peltier's name. In a matter of a few minutes, once again my computer was under attack and I had to shut it down. The true story of Leonard Peltier's life is a powder keg for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So here is the story that is 2 years in the making, one that someone does not want to be told. Leonard Peltier was born on the Anishinaabe Turtle Mountain Reservation in North Dakota. At the age of 8, he was taken from his family and sent to a residential boarding school for Native people run by the U.S. government. There, the students were forbidden to speak their languages, and they suffered both physical and psychological abuses. As a teenager, Leonard Peltier returned to live with his father at the Turtle Reservation in North Dakota. It was one of 3 reservations which the United States government chose as the testing for its new termination policy. The policy forced Native families off their reservations and into the cities. The resulting protests and demonstrations by tribal members introduced Leonard Peltier to Native resistance through activism and organizing. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, Leonard Peltier began traveling to different Native communities. He spent a lot of time in Washington and Wisconsin and was working as a welder, carpenter, and community counselor for Native people. In the course of his work, he eventually joined the Denver, Colorado chapter of the American Indian Movement. Leonard Peltier's participation in the American Indian Movement led to his involvement in the 1972 Trail of Broken Treaties, which took him to Washington, D.C. in the occupation of the Bureau of Indian Affairs building. Eventually, his American Indian Movement involvement would bring him to assist the Oglala Lakota people of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota in the mid-1970s. On Pine Ridge, he participated in the planning of community activities, religious ceremony programs for self-sufficiency and improved living conditions. He also helped to organize security for the traditional people who were being targeted for violence by the pro-assimilation tribal chairman and vigilantes. It was there on the Pine Ridge Reservation that the tragic shootout of June 26, 1975 occurred, leading to his wrongful conviction. Leonard Peltier has spent more than 3 decades in prison for a crime he did not commit. Amnesty International considers him a political prisoner who should be immediately and unconditionally released. After reading the story, I came upon this letter that I will share with you now, written by his sister. I found the letter on the American Indian Movement website and is dated January 20th, 2009. The title is Urgent Alert, Leonard Peltier's Safety in Jeopardy. I am so outraged. My brother Leonard was severely beaten upon his arrival at the Canaan Federal Penitentiary. When he went into population after his transfer, some inmates assaulted him. The severity of his injuries is that he suffered numerous blows to his head and body, receiving a large bump on his head, possibly a concussion, and numerous bruises. Also, one of his fingers is swollen and discolored, and he has pain in his chest and rib cage. There was blood everywhere from his injuries. We feel that prison authorities at the prompting of the FBI orchestrated the attack, and thus we are greatly concerned about his safety. We are aware that currently the FBI is actively seeking support for his continued imprisonment of Leonard Peltier and also seeking support from Native people. I am asking you, supporters of Leonard Peltier and advocates of justice, at this time to help. I don't know what else to do. Please help. Thank you, Betty Ann Peltier-Solano, Executive Coordinator of the Leonard Peltier Defense Offense Committee. And I will read now a letter written by Leonard Peltier himself, dated January 31st, 2009, 11 days later, entitled A Hero's Welcome. The FBI has said that I will never leave prison alive, and we should not accept that as an idle threat. There have been a few times that my life was targeted by the FBI in the 33 years since my capture, and each of those who have helped me to survive are now dead. The transfer and attack at Canaan is just a warning to me of what is to come. The wardens know of the psychological makeup of their inmate population in their prison, and they clearly knew that placing someone who is well known as I am, with connections to many famous people, and at my age, I would be subject to predatory attacks. This was deliberate by the BOP, and as far as the motivation for the attack, it could have been ordered by any prison official at the request of the FBI or someone trying to curry favor from the feds. It could have also been a tactic to beat me into submission for purposes of extortion or something as stupid as trying to make a reputation. Isn't it time we put an end to this madness and free Leonard Peltier? We must call our congressional representatives and write letters, not email them. Do what you can do to get the word out to ensure that Leonard Peltier is receiving adequate medical attention for his injuries and is out of harm's way while in prison. Leonard Peltier is serving time in a U.S. penitentiary in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Leonard can only receive letters, cards, postcards, photos, not Polaroids, and postal money orders for his commissary account. He responds to all his mail. In closing, I would like to say to you, Leonard, if you're listening, we love you, brother, and we're all supporting you, and we wait for your return home. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to Fly Like an Eagle, Free Leonard Peltier.
Slipping into the future.